Hey, Bob Phillips, welcome to the P&S Detail Studio. Today, we're going to be conducting a two-step paint correction process using the Rupus tool. One of the benefits of the new high-action DAs is it's really taken what used to be a three-step process and positioned it now down to a two-step process. I can't think of any situations really where you have to really do a three-step process in a high production environment. Today, we're working on an Audi A6 black metallic. It's got 31,000 miles on it. Typical damage, right? Just needs a little more than a polish. So we're going to do a little compound or a paint correction step and then a polish step to basically bring out the gloss and add some protection to the painted surface of the vehicle. Before we get started, what I'd like to do is talk about some of the tools that we have here that we're going to use to do this process. First thing we have is to remove the industrial fallout. We have our paint gloss product and our perfect mitt, or clay mitt, or clay towel as it's popularly known. That's used to remove the industrial fallout off the surface. Then of course we have our buffer. This is the Bigfoot Rupus 21. It is a high action DA tool that's become really popular on the market. And then we have some microfiber towels. Always want to have a good supply of microfiber towels. Our Black Insanity towel for the final wipe down to make sure we don't scratch the surface. And then we have our products. We have our Platinum Paint Correction System, and today we're featuring our Restoration Compound, which is orange, color-coded to the orange Euro cut foam. And then our Platinum Finish, which is the blue product, matched up to the blue finish foam. So let's talk about the process. What's the goal? First thing, we're looking into the paint surface. We're working on a clear coat, and our goal is to remove the minor or moderate paint imperfections off the painted surface during the paint correction phase, and then polish them back up to a shiny finish after that. Prior to getting started though, one of the things that we need to make sure we do is properly wash the vehicle, remove all the contaminants off the painted surface of the vehicle. So once we're done washing, of course, typically we're going to have industrial fallout left behind on the painted surfaces. These are contaminants that sit on top of the paint. What we really want to do is make sure that we remove those before doing any paint correction process whatsoever. The reason for that is these particles sometimes can be rather large, they can be rather hard, they can actually create more imperfections if we don't remove them. So what can happen is when we're doing the buffing process, we will break them loose and actually drive them into the paint, thus actually doing more damage. So we want to make sure we remove them first. So let's talk about that. We're going to use our clay mitt and our paint gloss as our lubricant. We want to make sure that we put plenty of lubricant on the clay mitt surface, spray down the painted surface of the vehicle, place the clay mitt down on the painted surface, and then slide the clay mitt over the painted surface to remove the industrial fallout. The interesting thing about this is you can actually hear it happening. So as you're gliding the mitt over the paint, you can hear it and feel it as it's removing the industrial fallout. What will happen is once the industrial fallout has been removed, all of a sudden this clay pad here, this perfect mitt, will all of a sudden slide or glide across the painted surface, and you know you've removed the majority of the industrial fallout. Once we're done, we take a microfiber towel, we wipe down the surface of the paint to dry it, basically, and then give the paint a hand test or just a slight wipe of the hand to make sure that we've removed industrial fallout. How you know you've removed the industrial fallout is it feels velvety smooth. If you feel the side you haven't done, you can actually still feel the particles sitting on top of the paint. Here, the industrial fallout has been completely removed. So now that we've removed the industrial fallout, we can proceed to our paint correction process. So the first product or procedure that we're going to do is going to be the compounding or the paint correction phase, in which we're going to remove the imperfections out of the paint. We're going to use our Euro Orange foam pad on our Rupus 21 tool. When we attach the foam pad to the Rupus 21, we line it up perfectly to get it nice and balanced. Give it a nice firm press down to make sure that you got proper connection to the Velcro. And then, since the pad is brand new, we have to prime the pad. Once you've done that, you don't necessarily need to do that for the rest of the vehicle, but certainly we got a dry pad. We're starting out our detailing process right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use paint gloss, just a light mist. I don't like to put a lot on there, just enough. Rub it around with the back of your hand. The reason we use the back of our hand is that if we happen to be rubbing the paint surface of the vehicle, we can pick up debris. And so by rubbing this way, we could actually put those same particles that we just removed actually back into the foam. So we use the back of our hand to rub the foam to evenly distribute the paint gloss. Then we take our restoration compound. Always recommend to shake the product, right? Put 6 pea-sized drops on the surface of the foam pad. Just like so. Don't have to be that uniform. All right. Then we're going to place the pad on the painted surface of the vehicle. We're going to set our tool on 3, and we're going to fire up the tool and let it just spin or work on the painted surface for 25 to 30 seconds to get an even distribution of product. We'll fire it up. Okay, that ought to pretty much do it. We can flip over our pad and we can see now that we've got an even distribution of product. Now we're going to go into our paint correction process, and we're going to work a 2-foot by 2-foot area, focusing on removing the imperfections. It's going to take about 2 to 3 or 4 passes, depending on what you feel. And then we're going to put about, 10 pounds pressure, not a ton of pressure on the pad. Let the tool do the work, let the pad do the work. Put enough pressure on the buffer to control it, not force it into the paint. So I'll fire it up. I'll put my tool back up on 5 or 6. Nice uniform passes, crossing them up. As I'm doing this, I'm looking into the paint to see if the marks or imperfections are being removed. Sometimes if I see a spot where I need to put a little more energy on it, I'll hold the tool there. I'll just keep working it. The beauty of this tool is you really can't burn the paint, so you just keep working it till you get what you want. So one of the things that I like to do is make sure you always start the tool on the paint and stop the tool on the paint. This safeguards against a couple of things. Number one, if we start the tool prior to putting it on the paint with fresh product, we're going to sling the product all over the place and defeat the benefit of using a high-action DA Rupus tool, which is we don't make a mess out of the car. And then I stop it on the paint because I also like to control that oscillations, because sometimes if you pull it off the painted surface of the vehicle, that can stress the Velcro. So we're about 90% there. I think for the sake of the video, I'm going to move on. So we've completed step 1, and then I'm going to do just a little visual inspection here to see that I've removed the majority of the imperfections. I got a nice gloss. That's really what you're looking for. One of the things about the high-action DA tools is they're not heavy at putting marks in the paint. They basically create a nice finish. So then your last finish step is relatively easy to conduct. So then now that we got to remove the pad, we want to make sure that we get our finger underneath there and pull the pad off like so. One of the things about high-action DAs, they don't push heat into the paint. They actually, heat gets pulled back up into the Velcro backup plate. Thus, they can get rather warm. So when you remove the pad, you want to make sure you do it with your finger underneath and not to pull on the backup plate, because the backup plate can soften and sometimes tear. All right, so we're going to go through the process of applying the blue finish foam, placing it directly on the pad surface, prime our pad, distribute the paint gloss, put 6 drops on here, just like so. Okay, the beauty of Platinum Finish is it's a finished polish, but it also has a wax protectant in there. So basically this creates the second step is your final step. We're going to go ahead and place the buffer on the painted surface of the vehicle. Make sure we got our speed on 3 and do the priming process. Okay, once I'm there, I don't necessarily need to turn the tool off. I could just ramp the tool up to 6 and start my paint correction process or the polishing. Still working a 2 foot by 2 foot area. Sometimes we tend to rush this. Don't rush it. Take the time. Make sure you get the finish and gloss that you want. Because the beauty of working with the Rupus tools is very easy on the operator, right? The tool just glides. Stopping our tool on the paint. Remove the tool. Set it down. And then we'll come back to our Insanity microfiber towel. Wipe off the last bit of product. Look at your finish. You got a nice gloss. You got a coat of protection. That is essentially a 2-step paint correction process using the Rupus tool and our Platinum paint correction system. Thank you.